This module of Inventor will include instruction on how to create a work plane on an existing part. Typically this is used when an asymmetrical surface exists on an existing part and we need a plane that is not traditional XYZ plane or horizontal or vertical plane. So we'll start by moving our cursor to the upper left portion of the screen. We'll left click on New. The Create New File dialog box will appear. Left click on Standard Inventor Part. We'll left click on Create. And we'll start a 2D sketch. Move our cursor to the XY plane. Then we'll create a sketch that is just basically a very simple part, and we'll create an offset work plane for that part. So we'll start by just creating a sketch that looks similar to what I have here. Then we'll left click on the dimension tool, left click on the lower line, we'll enter a 3, and then the rest of these dimensions are all going to be 1. So this will be 1, that one will be 1, this will be 1, and that one should be 1 because I locked it in with this line here. Then we'll left click on the little arrow underneath polygon if you haven't already. We'll return it back to the rectangle icon, and we'll drag a rectangle just like this. Then we'll right click, left click on OK, and we'll left click on dimension, and we'll dimension this to 0.1875 all the way around. 0.1875. And this will be 0.1875. And this will be 0.1875. Then we'll right click, left click on OK, right click again, finish 2D sketch, and then we'll scroll it out. Then we'll left click on extrude, move our cursor inside the profile, we'll left click once, and we'll enter a 3, and we'll make it a 4, not 47 though, and then we'll left click on OK. So now we use the rotate command, free orbit command. We can rotate this around, and we're going to put a asymmetrical offset slash basically on this portion of this part. So we'll start by putting a sketch on this front surface. We need to put 3 points on this object so that we can create a work plane. So I'm going to move my cursor over this front surface. I'm going to right click, left click on New Sketch, and then I'm going to right click and say I want the previous view. I'm going to wheel it in a little bit here, and we'll move our cursor up to where it says point. I'm going to left click on point, and I'm just going to sneak it along this very bottom edge. We'll left click one point there, and I'll move it up here. Make sure you don't snap to the midpoint, which is right here. We want to be ahead of that. We'll put our second point there, and we'll right click, left click on OK, and then we'll dimension these points. So I'm going to dimension this point from the back to the edge here. We want that to be 3. I'm going to left click on this point, the back edge, and we'll say we want that to be 2.5. Then I'm going to right click, I'm going to left click on OK, I'll right click again, left click on Finish 2D Sketch. I'm going to left click on the rotate icon. I'll rotate it around up just a little bit, and I'm going to right click, left click on OK. Then I'll move my cursor on this surface. I'm going to right click one time, left click on New Sketch. Then I'm going to right click again and say Previous View. We'll left click on the point icon again, and we'll place a point right here on this edge. Left click once. We'll right click, left click on OK. And then we'll hit Dimension. and we'll left click that point, and we'll left click on the front of the part, and we'll dimension that to 1. Then we'll right click, left click on OK, right click again, finish sketch, and this time we're going to left click on plane, and I'm going to pick the first point, then the second point, and the third point. And then we'll right click, and we're done. We've put a plane on it. So now what we're going to do with that plane is we're going to put a sketch on it, and we're going to remove this material right here. Now we'll move our cursor up to the split icon, which is located next to the thread icon. We'll left click on split, and then we'll push the mouse wheel down and move the part over just a little bit. So we'll left click on the work plane that we just created, and then we'll left click on the trim solid tool. Basically that's going to remove everything that's on one side of this work plane that we just created. And we'll left click on OK. And so now if we use the rotate command, we can rotate this around and see that we have this asymmetrical surface that was created from this work plane. Now we want to clean this up a little bit, again for making some type of presentation. It might not be appreciated as much as we do. So we'll move our cursor over here to Sketch 2. I'm going to right click, I'm going to left click on visibility. Then I'm going to do the Sketch 3, right click, left click on visibility. Then I'll move my cursor over work plane, right click, left click on visibility. So all those items still exist, it's just that they are now hidden so that they don't interfere with what the 3D model actually looks like. And we'll right click, left click on OK. And that concludes this module on creating an offset work plane.